the new intro I made. I love it. It's so good.
No, that's way cool. I like it a lot.
Yeah, new intro. All right. So before we get started, yes, there's a live on this channel. Yes, I said I quit. Well, you know what's my channel? I'll do whatever the hell I want. So,
And I didn't watch your video fully, but I don't know if you even mentioned live videos specifically.
uh, yeah, I don't know.
It doesn't
You know what
matter.
I had to do? I had to just erase that video, pretend like it never happened.
Or leave it. Whatever. Yeah, who cares? Doesn't matter, man.
Dude, pretend like it never happened. Or like I told you, I was texting Dan the other day. I was like, I'm like Newman. In that one episode, he's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to jump out the window. And then Kramer's like, well, go ahead.
Yeah, what are you
So,
waiting for?
so what happened? Well, he jumped.
Well, you know what? Here's what you can do. You can leave the video up, and then when someone's like, "Hey, you made this video saying you're going to quit making videos," just do what my friend Jeff Craig says. I don't. That's not the way I remember it. He just says that about everything. And it's like, yeah, that's not how I remember it.
Yeah, I didn't. You obviously took that completely different than I did.
Yeah. You're remembering it wrong. The video's right there. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's our buddy Kenny. What's up, Kenny? Kenny wrote me a couple of nice things, man. He did. First of all,
Hey,
he
Kenny.
said that a certain YouTuber is a complete loser, so that was fun.
I
Which
mean,
he's not
man.
wrong. He's not wrong. And then
Yeah.
he wrote some nice stuff. So Kenny, I appreciate that, man. I
Yeah. Thank you.
kind of just left heart emojis to you guys because I didn't have anything to say at the time, but I appreciate it. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know, but
Everyone
so,
needs to be talked down on occasion. There,
oh
we
yeah,
all have
talked off the ledge, right?
frustrations, but just throwing in the towel because of a couple of goofballs in their comments is silly. So
Yeah,
you can't do that, man.
that's true. That's
Trust
true.
me, as we've discussed.
Well, let's see who we can offend today. Because today, so we haven't done a show in a while, so it's New Year's. So happy New Year's, Dan. I haven't talked to you since New Year's, so happy New
well,
Year's.
you can't really be saying that. I have the Larry David policy is like he says 3 days. After that, you can't be saying Happy New Year. It's too late.
Oh, it's 7 days past. We can't.
Well, I have a week, so I guess you're at the end of it. So yeah, Happy New Year.
Yeah, because it would be today's
so
the cutoff.
you just hit it. Look at that.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So we're gonna talk about that stupid cliche. Oh, God, it hurts my head just
How do
thinking
you
about
actually
it.
feel about it?
That stupid New Year, new me. Because I've been an asshole for the last 365 days, but the year changed, so now I'm gonna be a nice person.
It's like I just kept looking at my watch, like, sorry, it's still December.
Yeah,
Can't do anything about it.
Hey, I'm gonna keep being it. It's only 10:49, December 31st. I'm gonna keep being a dick till 12 o'clock. So
yeah, get your insults out.
yeah, get your insults out. So yeah, but yeah. So okay. So well, how do you feel about that? No, that was just kind of a catch, like a bait thing. But what I wanted to talk to you about is if you did have any New Year's resolutions for this year, and did you fulfill the ones that you kept last year, if you can remember them? No on all fronts.
Because you've seen that image that goes around. They use it for memes a lot, where it's Robert Downey Jr. He's like rolling his eyes. He's super annoyed.
I use that one all the time.
Yeah, as you should. I have posted a meme. I didn't do it this year, but probably 6 or 7 years on Facebook in the past of it's that picture of him, and it says, here comes the new year, new me post or whatever. And I always post it around the first of the year because it's such an absurd cliche. Just like you said, it's like, oh, we're waiting for the calendar here to change something. Well, I want to be clear that anything that motivates you to change something in your life for the better, okay, that's good, that's fine. But most people use, oh, it's another year. It's like, well, why didn't you do that before? Especially if you're aware of something that needs to change or that you want to change. Why does it have to? Because you're not. It's a mob mentality kind of thing to me.
Yeah.
And it's also, and I, this might be a far stretch for most people, but for me, the idea of conformity on any level with stuff like that I just hate it. Like if you go to gyms right now, they're all packed, but in a month they're gonna not be packed again. So it's
That's
like
right.
it's not sincere. It's just doing it because we think we have to. Not always. I don't want to put a blanket statement on here, but for most people, it's just because I think I have to because that's what society and everyone else does. When in actuality, there are some people that are like, I really need to make a change. I can just do it first a year. I'm going to prepare myself, and then they do their best because they mean it.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is, it's really an issue, a question of sincerity with it, as opposed to just, well, what's my line? Oh, new year, new me. I'm going to go do this thing.
Yep.
Well, what about actually, you know, doing
Well,
it for
it's
more than
kind of
3 weeks?
so it's kind of like when it gets, and this will happen in a couple months. Kind of like when the Catholics start Lent. What are you going to give up for Lent? It's the same kind of thing. Be like every year they'd be like, "What are you going to give up for Lent?" And it's like, well, I could have given up Mountain Dew back in like November. I didn't need to wait till Lent
Well,
to
that's just
to
it.
do that.
And
It's
they're
that
giving it up because they think they have to because it's a rule.
right. It's not
But
like you
no,
said.
that's the wrong motive.
It's not
That's
a
the key.
genuine thing. It's like
Right.
you said, a mob
Right.
mentality. It's not a genuine thing.
Right.
But what the thing that gets me about that saying, it's like, well, you said that last year.
That's the
You were
thing.
still,
That's the whole thing.
it's like it's just funny to me that, and you hit the nail on the head. It's like if you need that kind of motivation to make changes, okay,
Then
fine,
so be it.
whatever, that's fine. Any motivation you could take to change your life or change how you're doing things or quit something or get healthy or stop drinking. There's the dry January going on. People will stop drinking, but then they'll sit there and they'll pound 47 beers on Valentine's Day. So it's like that's not exactly you know
Hey, in a couple weeks, I'll be at my 41-year streak on not drinking.
there you go. See, there you go. So,
But
but I mean, as far as having a resolution, I don't think that's a bad thing.
no,
I don't like the saying the new year, new me. I've made it a point. I've come up with some. My wife got me kind of like this dumbbell exercise thing. I've tried to work out more. Has it gone
do
well?
pull
No, of
out,
course
do
not.
yourself about do work out about 40, an actual solid workout, not exercise, but a solid workout about 40 minutes for 2 to 3 times every week. You'll
Oh
notice a
yeah,
difference very quickly.
not even close to that. So, but
Well,
I did like 5, and I was like, hey, that's a work.
and now, all
But
you,
it's stuff like that, and my wife and I have started. We were trying to get through the Bible in the whole year with the kids, right? So we started that. We're in Genesis, and it's like, well, we got a good streak of like 5 or 6 days going. So you kind of want
Mhm.
to keep that going. But it's stuff like that. And then trying to be more attentive to certain things, have a better attitude at work and things like that. But it's like you said, if you think you're gonna just like flat ass change just because
That's the thing,
it's crazy. That's not
right?
the way it really works or anything like that. I just don't.
Well,
But it
it's because the flesh, the human condition, it doesn't care what the date is. I mean, it's you're if you're not sincerely wanting to do something or have that accomplishment, whatever it may be, you can say, "Oh, New Year this, New Year's that." It won't matter. Your
mhm,
heart has to be in it, and God's got to work with you, and He's got to, and you got to get Him for help, and you got to have people around you to motivate you and call you out and keep you on that path you want to be on, whether it's eating right or like you said, a Bible plan or you don't want to curse, whatever it may be, anything. You still have to have the community and you need to have the motivation. It's not just, oh, it's January 1st, now I'm going to accomplish this. Well,
right, right.
no, there's effort that I don't think people are necessarily aware of oftentimes, which I have been guilty of as well. It's like, oh, I can do that. Like,
Well, the funny thing about it too is they say I think they did a study on it where most New Year's resolutions are dead by like March. You mentioned the gym thing. Like I've got a Crunch Fitness down the road for me. It's packed. I can go in there in March, April, and it'll be dead.
well,
So
because it gets hard.
right,
Because
it's
if you do
tough.
something like this, and
It's
this is
hard to.
all of us,
The thing is, you can't just like flip that switch and say, "Oh, I'm just going to do this." I always been a big proponent of saying I can't just flip a switch and stop doing, automatically just start doing something that I've never done. I have never worked out every single day of my life and now all of a sudden because it's January 1st, I'm going to start doing that. No, it's like you need to kind of ease into these things. You can't really just be like, well, I'm going 100%. It's like when you're trying to get off something, ease out. A lot of people say cold turkey works. For some, it does, but I've found in some other areas with some other things, it's a little easier to just ease off it as opposed to just like shutting it down. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's
Well, I mean,
It's different for everything.
yeah, and it is, and for people as well. I mean,
Yeah.
and I would never want to discourage someone for even just trying a New Year's resolution, of course. But it's like, I guess the point is like, don't
Yeah.
just say it because you think you have to, or just try something because everyone else is like, mean it, give it your all. Don't give up as soon as something gets difficult. Like I'm
Right.
almost at 2 years. So last year at Trans World in March, I did have a Diet Dr Pepper because at the time I was just, well, it's gross, but I had a pain in my behind. I had a hemorrhoid, so I was PO'd. So I just had Ray get me one out of transfer.
The Diet Dr.
That's
Pepper will make it
TMI, but
all
oh well.
better for you.
Yeah, but yeah, literal pain in the ass. So I had one then, but that's the only pop I've had in I think I'm going on, I want to say almost 20 months. And so that wasn't a New Year's resolution. That was just like, I'm tired of feeling like garbage.
Yeah.
That's a huge motivator. But the way I weaned myself off of pot, because I used to have, I used to have, when we were young, like in my teens especially, I had this Mountain Dew, and then I go over to Dr. Pepper, and like I had to have a Dr. Pepper like almost every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I finally said, man, I can't do it because I've had several cavities, and I've had, I think, 2 or 3 teeth pulled, and I had a bunch of fillings a couple years ago. So that was a motivator. And funny, now that I don't drink pop or eat much sugar, I don't have any teeth problems.
Right.
Shocker. But I weaned myself off of that. I would get like a good sparkling water. Whatever brand, insert brand here, because the carbonation is something you can get addicted to. Also, of course,
Totally.
corn syrup and the pop is
Yep.
extraordinarily addictive. So like you said earlier, you gotta kind of step by step wean yourself off. And now it's like I don't. I'll get these things. They're called Olipop. They're actually healthy pop.
Yeah, those are good ones. They got probiotics in them and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, exactly. They're probiotics, and they're all natural and everything. But I don't have to have carbonation. I get 2 or 3 Olipops maybe every couple of weeks. Like, so you have to really stick to your guns, and you really have to say, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to stop this, or I'm not going to stop trying. I'm going to give up whatever I want to give up, or do whatever I need to do. But that's the thing, man. People should go into this with like real motivation and a real desire to actually accomplish the goal they're setting out to do, not just put on Facebook, I'm going to do it. That's great if you're doing that.
Right.
And I've done that where it's like, oh, I'm going to do this, and I fall through like a week later or whatever. But it takes a lot of effort. So
a few things about that. So it's like, again, do like one thing. A lot of people, they'll go gun ho. They're like, oh, I'm going to give up this and I'm going to do this and blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, just get like 1 or 2 things.
too much at once is very difficult.
Too much at once is bad. You're going to overwhelm yourself, and you're going to be like, oh, no, I can't handle this. The other thing is, too, like, is if you, like, we'll take Dan's drinking soda pop, for instance. If Dan decided he wanted to give up soda pop, and he went a few days and then he drank one, and he's like, oh, shit, it's over. I'm not going to do this anymore. No, don't do that. It's like, just like, okay, so yeah, my point, I've got a point to this. Get back to it. You had a stumble, but now go back to it. Get a couple more days in, and then you'll go a little longer and stuff. That's the same thing that God wants us with, like sin. When you're struggling with something, and you're going through it. Say you're struggling with envy. I struggle with envy a lot when it comes to YouTube. I struggle. I still do. I've struggled with that more recently than I probably have in a while because of the spot I'm in. So, and I put myself in. So, I'll do that, but then it's like, that's a sin, but don't like stop trying to be better. You can't say, "Oh well, I sinned. That's it. I'm dead. Just sell my soul to the devil." You can't do that.
Right.
You
What?
got to keep doing it. You got to keep trying. It's like if you were your New Year's resolution to work out. Yeah, you did it a few days, and now you need a break, and you need to take a couple days off. Get back on it and start doing it
Mm,
again. So I
right.
think that's the problem. Like with what you're saying, where it's a mainstream societal issue, that's totally true because what society's going to say to you is, well, you screwed up once. Yeah, you're a loser. Why did you even try? That was terrible.
Well, they'll do that, or they'll go the enabling route and say, "Oh, well, that's okay, no big deal." Well, maybe, but sometimes to that person it is a big deal, and what they're really seeking is someone to tell them to encourage them and say, "Well, look, you failed. I failed many times too. Get back on the horse," and
Mhm,
kind of push them.
mhm.
That's what some people are dying to hear. I mean, I know people like that where it's like, oh well, they say, oh well, I want to do this, and other people are like, oh, you don't need to, you don't need to, and it's like, well, wait a minute, this person's saying this because they sincerely want a change in their life. That should be encouraged. If
Right,
someone's like, oh, I want to lose weight, and someone's like, oh no, it's just fine the way you are, well, obviously that person doesn't necessarily agree with that. If they want to, you should encourage them to.
right,
If I want to learn how to play the trumpet, people shouldn't be like, well, that's dumb, who wants to play the trumpet? No, like mom and dad always has done with us, encourage that person to
yep,
learn an instrument, to try something new, go take lessons for it. Like, not just like, you don't have to, it's fine. It's like, no, our society wants to coddle and enable, and it also wants to, you know, just be so passive with everything.
mhm,
If somebody is saying this, it's because they want a change or they want to do something new in their life. That needs to be encouraged.
right,
So,
right. Well, no, that's the worst thing you could do as like a friend or as a relative or whatever it is sit there and kind of ask, well, are you sure? Why do you want to do this? Blah blah blah. Just don't do that. Just encourage with what that person's wanting or saying. Let me get to a couple of comments here. We've got some comments. Agree bullies shouldn't win and God's use you both for a better purpose. Yeah, man, absolutely. Don't load off because you may not get the chance to change it if you hold off for a year. Dude, that's a great point too,
that's
gang.
a great one.
Because
That's,
it's like,
yeah.
no one's promised tomorrow. I could drop
Uh,
dead tomorrow. I could drop dead in my sleep. And if I didn't do that thing, no matter how small or big I wanted it is in my own head, I screwed it up because I didn't start it. I was going to wait for tomorrow. I'm going to wait for tomorrow. Well, tomorrow's not given. It's not promised. So it's
right,
like, you can't do that either. And we
right.
got Brett in the house. What's up, Brett? Good to see you, man. Let's get to one more Kenny's if I can get my computer to work. I give up the stuff I don't like. It's easier to stick to it. I'm thinking about giving up exercise this year. Don't give up exercise, man. Don't do that. You know what? Speaking of exercise, one problem I have, and Dan knows this about me, is I play a lot of softball. I played more softball last year than I have since I lived in Colorado 3 years ago. 2021, I played a ton, but I haven't played as much uh, since 2021 as I did in 2024. And man, it's like I've been off for 3 weeks. See, that's the great thing about Oklahoma. You can even play in December, which I did. But you can really feel it now. You're like, well, I need that thing. And for me, it's hard to replace that thing. Do you have that trouble, Dan, where you've been doing something and then it ends? Like the haunt. How do you replace
Oh,
the feeling you get from the haunt and not only the feeling but the exercise and the stamina that you have to have for that?
well, I mean, oh boy. I mean, that's where it's hard, man.
Yeah.
Because when I'm working at the hunt, I'm walking 6, 8, 9, 10,000 steps in one evening every evening I'm out there.
Right.
Um, and so it's like, your back and everything and your legs and all this and that. But so November was rough because I was I was pretty worn out working 60, 70 hours a week and doing all that. But I've been exercising and working out for probably a year and a half consistently now. But November was tough on me, man. I was starting to walk like 2,000 steps a day, and it's like that's really unhealthy. And I was just, because I was just worn out. Like it was just, but I didn't prep myself enough in preparation for the season. It's like if you were off from softball, say you had next 2 months your season starts, you should be working out and getting ready for it now. And it's like, I wasn't getting my steps in on the build up to that. I wasn't doing enough back and leg exercises, things like that. So now, working from home, I mean, about this, I can walk over to my mailbox that there and back is about 700 steps or whatever. But if I'm not going to, say, Walmart or the grocery store or something, to get my steps in is very difficult. Like I walked almost 5,000 steps today just around my house, like just walking around, going up and down the stairs, doing this, doing that, walking the dogs. But yeah, so to answer your question, to replace something like that, you have to find sometimes creative ways. A treadmill would be good too.
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Go into those little foot things under your desk and just have your feet
yeah,
go like this the whole time. That's kind of
well,
cheating, but
and that's the thing is I do have a stand up desk where I can, if I stand, I try to stand for maybe at least 2 hours a day just at work, not counting all the other time I'm on my feet, because sitting is so bad for you too much, because it hurts your circulation, and so your blood flow is not as good.
yeah.
As we're both sitting, but
right. Staring at a screen that I
really
stared
bad,
at for.
yeah. So, but yeah, like exercise, I think that's the one that, and working out especially. So the days that I don't do a workout, I still exercise. Like I'll still do like light amount of push-ups, and I'll still walk. I'll still run a little bit. I'll still do exercises that I normally do with dumbbells without them, just to, whatever it may be, just to get that exercise. But then the days I do work out, it's like I'm doing all these body weight exercises and dumbbell exercises, and I pretty much just beat the crap out of myself 2 days a week. Days I know I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
But the thing is, what people need to understand is all of that is very painful, especially at first. It's hard. But once you start to feel better and you actually physically see, say, muscle in your bicep or whatever it may be, it becomes easier, because it's getting to that point that people, that's where they drop off, is before they see or feel or notice a difference. They stop. If they can just get to that spot where it's like, oh, I lost 5 pounds. Well, if you lost 5, you can lose 10. If you lost 10, you can lose 50 or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
If I put on a little bit of muscle, I can put on a little bit more muscle. If I gave up a pop for a week, I can give up a pop for 2 weeks. And to your point earlier, the idea of backsliding, it's not good, but if you take 2 steps forward and then you backslide 3, that's not necessarily bad. It is, but it's not, because it's like God's way of telling you, hey, you do have the ability to take the 2 steps forward. So that means you can take 3 and 4 and 5.
Right.
So.
Right. No, it's true. It's true. And it's like, I think, Dad always preaches to us, because our dad, he's 73. He looks like he's 53. I see Dad, and then I see other 73-year-olds. It's like, well, those 73-year-olds look like they could be his father.
Yeah, he knows guys like that. He was talking about him.
But our dad, not so long ago. Our dad has always been, he's always worked out ever since we were born. He's worked out since he was a kid, and he's always had physical jobs. He plowed snow for the state of Colorado. He, did all the asphalt work. So he always had a physical job, but he still does that. I was texting him the other day, and he said he was already getting ready for softball. He said he was already going to go to the Y's, or he's going to start running. And it's like, he still plays softball. He still plays, 30, 40 games a year at a high level at 73 years old, because he's taking such good care of himself.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that's a big thing. I don't think, Dad ever was like, oh, it's new year, new me time. I better get off my ass.
No. No, actually, for many years, he's told me this many times, is he'll weigh himself regularly. And if he steps on a scale and he gained 2 pounds or something, he immediately alters something.
Yeah, he's always.
And it doesn't, it could be June, it could be August, it can be January. That's completely irrelevant. I guess that's kind of the point here too, is like, and Mom does the same thing.
Mom's the same thing. Yep.
And I mean, Mom and Dad are both great examples, because what Mom did about a year and a half ago, she started going to a chiropractor, and she's also kind of a dietitian. And she did all these tests on Mom, like the blood work and like for food tests and what causes inflammation, fruits, vegetables, whatever it may be, meats. And she is on like this diet, and she has stuck to it this whole time, even at the age of 65 and with severe rheumatoid arthritis, but she feels better and she's a lot healthier because her inflammation's down now. So it's like, that's what's interesting is like, even if our mother with her health and our dad at his age, if they can do those things that they're doing at their age and with mom's health, that is irrelevant with, oh, it's new year, new me. It's like they're motivated by their health and they feel better.
Right.
And and dad wants to keep playing softball. Mom wants to feel as good as she can. And so it's like, man, they've stuck to it. And even dad has changed his diet a lot. It's like, and so he feels because of that
you talk about soda pop. Our dad, he's like the biggest proponent for like Coke Zero and Diet Coke of all time. I mean, one of the things, probably one way I get it's about. I'm not like the rest of the family. I still drink soda, not nowhere near I used to. I haven't drank a Mountain Dew in like, it's almost a year since I've drank a Mountain Dew.
That's good.
Okay, but that doesn't mean I haven't drank other stuff. But it's a lot less. I used to drink at least one a day, maybe two. Now I drink maybe one or two a week. Okay, so it's less. But that's probably where we got it because some of the memories I have from when we were kids is, dad, we would dad be like, oh, you want to stop and get a soda? You're like, yeah, of course I do.
Yeah.
But that's amazing that he's done that, and he's told me that before, where he's kind of like on the Ollie Pops like you and Mom are, and doing that, and it's like, it's funny that you say that because, man, I can tell you that whole sugar thing is a real thing. So my sugar intake's a lot less. It's probably about half of what it used to be just a couple years ago. I took the kids as a special treat. Me and my wife took the kids to this place called Yo Nuts. So this is like a fat kid's dream, man. So what it is, it's a freaking donut, okay? And they cut it in half and they fill it with ice cream and they pop the top on. So we go there, and it's a donut, and it's one of those the donuts I hate the most in the whole world is a regular donut that's covered in cinnamon sugar, and they just freaking dump it, and it's just covered in it. So it's one of those donuts, and I got cookies and cream ice cream in it. I will shit you not. As I'm eating it, I can feel pain in my hands. And my knee hasn't acted up all year in softball. I've had no problems with my knee. My knee starts hurting. And it started hurting the other night when I was sleeping. I was like, what the freaking hell? Then I thought of it. It's like, Yo Nuts. That's the problem. And it's like, when you eat that amount of sugar, I was like, oh my gosh. And, my son's asking me to go back. I'm like, dude, we ain't going back for a long, long time.
Well, think of it this way. When you eat something like that, say your body's at 10 miles an hour. We use like a car analogy. It doesn't, and then you eat that, it's not going to like 20, 30, like the natural progression of a car.
You're going to like 90.
It skips all those and it goes about to 90 to 100.
Yeah.
And what it does is it spikes your blood sugar like through the roof.
Yeah.
And then the reason that so many people, I ate lunch and now I'm really tired like an hour later, it's because their blood sugar spikes high. And then when it comes down, boom, you crash.
Yeah.
If you eat the right foods, that crash does not happen. It does not exist.
Right.
So, but that, your joint pain, that is a huge one because that's all inflammation.
Right.
And so, I tell you what, I don't have joint pain. So
that's good.
I may have occasional like back pain if I sleep wrong, but it's not severe. It's just, there's also like, okay, I'm over 40 now, but, the thing is, like, since I committed to changing my diet and exercise, like, I barely get sick, maybe once a year. And when I do, it's like way shorter. My allergies are about half of what they used to be. I'm not allergic to certain foods that I used to be anymore, i.e. avocado, banana, things like that. And also, I never get headaches. I don't get any headaches anymore.
Which is really impressive considering you live in Colorado, because when I lived in Colorado, anytime a storm system would come in, kind of like what you guys had today, I get a bad headache. Be like, there's got to be some big storm coming in.
Well,
and it's that's part of it.
Some of it can be like sinus headache, which is like some allergy related.
Yeah.
But if you just have a headache, it's usually any issue you typically have is lack of hydration or it's lack of vitamins and minerals.
Yeah.
The problem is the reason people can't reach their goals and like a lot of things they're doing is because society has said all this stuff is normal.
Right.
None of those things are normal. Like just having a headache.
No.
Like mom used to have, remember how she used to have dry eye all the time? She doesn't have it anymore because she's hydrating properly.
Yeah.
And so, and I think that's the other thing is like when people set a goal for themselves, and if it is a New Year's resolution, fine, educate yourself too on what you're getting yourself into. Just because you're getting on a treadmill for 5 minutes twice a week doesn't mean it's going to be like that TV show, The Biggest Loser, years ago, where it's like, oh, I just lost 50 pounds in a week. It's you got
How
to
did that
educate
guy lose
yourself
50
because
pounds in an hour? How did he do it?
yeah, was that edited?
Right.
Because what happens is, in order for certain things like that, especially like weight loss or working out and building muscle, things like that, you can't just change your diet and you can't just change your exercise. You have to change all of it at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise,
Well,
and I think that's where people stumble is we want to commit to whatever. That's just the example, and we don't realize what goes into this. Oh crap! Well, New Year, not New Year. I mean, I didn't know this was going to be this hard,
yeah.
and so
Well,
we've
the
all
the
done it.
biggest battle with anything is not physically, it's mentally. It's
Of
like,
course,
I've heard the saying, and this is kind of what God says too. It's like once you get in a habit, breaking the habit is the hardest thing to do. You can get in a habit so easily you don't even realize you're in a habit until you try to break it. And then
correct.
it's like, oh crap, like I a habit for me is I drink a cup of coffee first thing in the morning, then I do a couple meetings, then I go downstairs and I have 2 cups of coffee in the morning and I have 1 cup in the afternoon. So it's like now I'm trying to.
Hey, same here.
Well, yeah, you and I have always done that. We did that when we worked together. We'd always do that. That's probably where you got it
But
from.
I actually, my coffee is actually healthy though, with everything I put in it.
Well, I have Sprouts organic coffee, so
Okay.
and a 3 gram almond milk creamer. So
All
it's
right.
not that bad.
You're working your way up.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not
That's
that
good.
bad. It's not like I'm
Yeah.
drinking that crap. And that's the other thing too. And this isn't like making excuses, but you look at stuff that we have here in America. What we have here in America is completely different than where it is everywhere else in the country.
Yeah.
There was a guy who did a YouTube video. He bought a thing of Fruit Loops in Canada, then he bought a thing of Fruit Loops here, and did a
Yeah.
blind taste test. And he swore that the ones he tasted were from here. No, the ones from Canada, because the ones from Canada had no dye. They were all colored by fruit.
Probably
The fruit dyes and stuff. It
beet,
wasn't
beet,
their.
beet
Yeah,
juice because
beet
it gives
juice, the
coloring.
carrot juice. That was what the
Yeah.
coloring was. Now they didn't look as good. They weren't as bright, you know, fluorescent colored and that stuff. So I'm really in hopes that RFK gets in because RFK is in now.
Yeah.
I really hope that he's going to shut down some of this shit
Yeah.
because what's happened now is it's like it's everywhere. I my kids are constantly asking me to get some. Like, if it's got dye in it, guys, we ain't doing it. I was
No.
a little lenient on them during Christmas. They wanted candy canes or this. I'm like, all right, well, it's Christmas. We'll do a little bit there. But the amount of crap that's in our food supply is insane, which makes it even harder if you want to do something like this now. And thankfully, I was always kind of like, oh, that's wives' tale. My wife actually educated me more about it. And I was like, holy crap, it really it's unbelievably like the mood swings that not only we have, but the kids. I see some of the kids that go to my kids' school. I think my kids are crazy. My kids ain't half as crazy as the kids on the dies. So it's really
Well,
a thing where what Dan's saying is true. You got to really educate yourself and look at things. And the biggest bitch of it all, spend more money.
yes, but here's the thing with that. So I'll say a couple things. Number one is 90% of the grocery store is trash.
Yeah.
About 60% of something like Sprouts or Whole Foods is trash. So it doesn't take me as long now because I've been doing it for almost 2 years. But when you're first, and I still do sometimes, you have to read every label. And I don't mean the front of said food, the ingredients, and you have to learn what those ingredients are.
Right. Right.
Because there's things. I'll use an example. Something like maltodextrin
Yep.
is an ingredient that's in a ton of foods. I forget what it does, but it's incredibly addictive. Okay, and most people read that. Oh, I don't know what that is. I think it's a
Right.
preservative or something. But that's in like all the breads. It's in probably cereals. It's in most things. Corn syrup, seed oils, things like that. The corn syrup is incredibly addictive. That's why people um, are eating the stuff and they can't stop, essentially.
Right.
And then they'll read something like, "Oh, this has enriched wheat flour. That seems fine." It's like, well, that's in most things: chips, cereal, a lot of the crappy pastas. Enriched wheat flour is nothing more than essentially a chemical process that's broke down the flour to get the bad things out of it by putting worse things in there.
Right.
And that actually leads to weight gain, as do most of these ingredients. That's the one thing they all have in common is A, they cause inflammation, B, they have no nutritional value, and C, they all lead to weight gain. So when you have people eating hundreds of ingredients and not getting, because there's no vitamins in any of these things, there's no minerals in any of these things.
Just
It's
like
like
cereal.
you're getting, yeah, you're
Yeah.
getting literally 100 strikes against you with each of these ingredients 3 times a day if you're eating 3 meals a day.
Yep. Yep.
And so it's like um,
Well, and
you
and
have
and
to be
it's not
incredibly vigilant.
I don't want to make excuses, but a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people are
No, they
still
don't. I didn't know it up until about 2 years ago
right.
when I started watching videos.
Because if I was listening to RFK in an interview right before Trump got elected. Oh my God, I said Trump. um. Anyway, one thing he was saying is 1990 is about when everything shifted.
Yeah.
That's when things started getting crazy, where the companies are like, "Oh, you know what? This shit's cheaper. Let's start throwing in these chemicals." And it's not even really about the money and what's cheap or not. It's the addictiveness, like what Dan was talking about, like with the corn syrup and everything like that. So really, people that are still living in the past, like we do at times, they're not even aware of it. They're like, okay, well, I used to buy freaking Lunchables for my kids back in the 90s. What's the difference between the way it is in the 90s and the way it is now? And it's like, well, it's changed so much. And, you know,
It's not food now.
it's not food. Well, and that's exactly right. So my hope is that he comes in and he just, finds the living piss out of them if they don't conform to getting this crap out of here, because we're like I said before, we're the only ones that do this. Freaking Germany doesn't do this. Those sociopaths in England don't do this. They'll put you in jail if you offend somebody, but they don't do this.
Well, of course. I
You
mean,
know. So
well, that's the thing is like it's it's sad because like you said, like none of us, me especially, even up to 2 years ago, really knew, and most people don't know, like you said. But your point earlier, and this is a classic thing, is two things. People say it's too expensive to eat healthy. Well, here's the thing with that is most times I go to the grocery store, I still look and I see people's carts just because I'm like that, I guess. There's always 3 or 4 12 packs of pop. There's always 3 or 4 bags of Doritos and Oreos and
yeah,
cookies. There's a cart full of junk food. But if you even got rid of half of that and replaced it with decent things, if you just move the money over to different things and you actually cook and you don't go to McDonald's, which is like what, $12 or something for a meal now. I
something
don't
insane.
know
Yeah,
even. And you don't order DoorDash and you don't do all these things, there's plenty of money for it. But the biggest money maker is convenience. That's the ultimate business in America is convenience. And people want it quick, they want it easy. Frozen pizza, here you go. Little chicken nuggets I can just throw in the microwave. Oh gosh, here you go. Whatever it may be. And they pay the price.
yeah.
And you think you're
Well,
paying for convenience, but you're actually paying with your health. And then when the time comes and you want to make a change, like say for New Year's resolution, it's that much harder
yeah,
because you're so ingrained in this way of life. And if it's funny what you mentioned earlier, because I saw an image of I think it was a can of Pepsi or Coke from like early 90s or whatever. And if you look on the back, the first ingredient is like, I think it was cane sugar.
it was
Now the first ingredient is high fructose corn syrup.
right.
Cane sugar is bad, but it's nowhere near high fructose corn syrup.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cheaper. That's why they do that. And
Yeah.
so, you
Well,
know,
it goes in. See, it's not just this though. If you look at the whole big picture, okay. So why do people like convenience? Well, people are in this country are freaking overworked. They're overworked, right? People work a lot in this country. They work in this country more than a lot of other countries. I think there's 32-hour work weeks in other countries and things like that. So,
yeah,
you know, you got people that are tired, that are exhausted from their job and all the other stuff and being an adult that all come with it. So they want that. They look for the convenience. They're like, oh, I do not feel like cooking today. Let's just go somewhere.
Yep.
Well, old Bill Gates knows that. So what does he do? He buys a bunch of farms and he puts all the potatoes out there. Now, if you ever seen a McDonald's potato, it's like these giant russet potatoes that are like chemically engineered, not only to be bigger, but to be more addictive, as is the oil that they put them in. Did you guys know that McDonald's fries used to be cooked in beef tallow? The oil used to be beef tallow.
Which
Now
is
it's
actually good for you. It's a
right,
natural fat.
right. So that whole food pyramid bullshit
It's
that
all BS.
you said, all BS. It's all BS. And the thing is, the FDA, who I hope Trump just gets away from completely because they suck.
They're literally worthless.
Yeah, they just said eggs are actually healthy. They've been knocking down eggs for how freaking
Eggs and red meat have been
red meat,
demonized
right?
forever. And it's
Yeah,
like what people feel said what they the lie is like, oh, your cholesterol go up. There's multiple types of cholesterol.
right.
One cholesterol, I believe your body naturally creates it because you need it. I don't remember what the organ is, but eggs are nothing but good for you. They're one of the most vitamin rich things you can eat. I mean, everything from like vitamin K, I think, to calcium, to, I mean, you name it. If you eat, I usually try to eat 2 eggs, if not every day, every other day. And protein, that's a huge one.
Yep.
And then good grass fed beef, red meat is one of the most nutrient dense things you can eat. And there are some doctors, legitimate doctors, not these hacks that just put you on 4,000 prescription pills,
Yeah.
like Dr. Eric Berg. Look him up if you don't know who I'm talking about. A lot of these doctors believe that good grass-fed beef is the most nutrient-dense thing you can eat. It has all your, like, most of your minerals, most of your nutrients. It's one of the most anti-inflammatory things you can actually eat, because most of these diseases that people have, well, be it cancer or any other disease you can think of, for the most part, not all of them, they start in the gut with gut inflammation. People's guts are unhealthy. They don't have prebiotics, probiotics. They're not, if you eat 1 tablespoon of sauerkraut a day, your gut's pretty much good to go. And so it's like, but they don't tell you that, or kimchi is another one. But you need fiber, right? And it's like, they just have BS everybody. Oh, your salts and oils are at the tip of the pyramid. No. Good single source extra virgin olive oil in a glass bottle is one of the healthiest things you can consume.
You could take a shot of that a day and be good.
Right. And you need sea
Also, another one
salt
is
or
honey.
Celtic salt.
Did you know that honey can sustain you for like an entire day? Like 1 tablespoon of honey
Yes,
can
it's
sustain you
extremely
for an entire.
nutrient dense.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then if you get sick, this is what we do. If you get sick, for the love of God, please do not go buy that cold medicine crap. Don't be
That's
fooled
all
in by the
chemicals.
little booger guy, the little Mucinex booger guy telling you, hey, this is gonna fix you. Go get some elderberry. We have a lady who makes it for us. We buy it from her. It's in a jar. If I feel like I'm getting sick, I will take 2 tablespoons, 2 little teaspoons of that every few hours, and then I'll take some quercetin too. I haven't been sick at all this year because as soon as I feel that, I'm like, bam, bam, I nail it, and I haven't got sick at all this year. I haven't been sick because I got deathly sick, like really, really sick, a couple years ago, and I was like, man, I'm never doing that again because it was some of the worst flu I've ever had. I know it wasn't stupid freaking COVID. That's all BS. I'm gonna get canceled one day.
Yeah, video censored. He said the C word.
Right. Censorship. But I'm telling you, with the elderberry and the quercetin and the honey, and I also have, so in this thing right here, you guys probably see me drinking out of this all the time. I try to drink 3 of these a day. There's an alkaline filter in here that alkalines my water. Now, no virus can live in an alkaline environment. So if you're consistently pounding alkaline water, nothing can really touch it. Plus, you're hydrated. So.
Yeah, exactly. And another old remedy you can use is if you just chop up some onion, well, be it yellow.
Oh, cayenne pepper too. Cayenne pepper.
Yeah.
is a huge one.
So um, cayenne pepper is really good. But chop up some onion and put some honey on it and put it in a jar and close it up, or just like a whatever glass tub that you just something with a lid. Let it ferment on the counter for a couple days, and then it'll pull all the liquid and nutrients out of the onion, and you can take a teaspoon of that,
Right.
and it gives you all these nutrients. But the other thing is the reason that people get so sick. Again, people think getting sick is normal. It's really not. It's because we have no immune systems because we don't give our body what it needs.
Right.
And so it's like, oh, I'm just sick again. Like that's normal. That's really not that normal. You aren't giving, like when people say, did you eat today? And they say, I had McDonald's. Well, it's like, you didn't give your body anything it needs. You just shut off the thing in your brain that says, I'm hungry. It's telling you it's hungry. That's all you did.
Right.
You've given it literally nothing but poison. And so, yeah, there's blueberries. If you eat blueberries consistently your whole life, it's one of the things that'll help prevent Alzheimer's, for example. Blackberries. There are so many good foods. Avocado. I eat avocado every day. If you want vitamin C, buy yourself some kiwi. Eat 1 kiwi a day, or a red pepper.
Orange.
What?
Oranges.
Yeah, they're actually pretty low on the list, though. The whole orange juice thing's a big fat lie, also.
Well, not orange juice, but like
but
a real orange,
yes.
like an actual orange. Yeah.
But the pepper and the kiwi I believe are going to be higher. But yeah, you can still do that. But
well, and I'm going to say it. This will really get everybody pissed off. Stay away from the vaccines. Stay away from the vaccines. There was a thing that
now this video is
I know. I know. So why can't I think of his name? Dude, help me out here. Texas guy, long blonde hair, funny guy on YouTube. Always, big Trump supporter, always makes fun of
JP Sears?
Thank you.
Well,
JP Sears
redhead.
Yeah, redhead, sorry, thank you.
I still knew he was
JP Sears was interviewing a pharmaceutical person who actually is now anti-vax. And she said there was like 13,000 megathanes of aluminum. There used to be none in each vaccine, right? What the vaccines are doing now, I mean, you saw this with COVID. You're seeing people just drop dead just out of nowhere.
But like when they say he was 25 and he died of natural causes.
No, the natural cause is he got the jab. The natural cause is he got the damn jab. That's the natural cause. Vaccines are nowhere. This is also you got to do your research. You got to do your thing. It's like when they've upped the vaccine rate for when you have a kid. It used to be, I think it was like 10 to 20. Now it's like 75 shots between the age of birth and 12 years old. Why?
That's wild.
Why? See, what all the things that we just named are natural things that God has supplied to us, as opposed of this other crap. I know that. Did you ever get the flu vaccine?
I have it at one time in my life, and at that point, I was like, "Man, this is stupid." But even back then, they said, "Oh, there's like," and I don't know what the number is now, but back then it was like just a handful of years ago, 7, 8, 9, whatever. They said it was like a 35% effective rate, because the flu is just like with the COVID crap or alleged COVID crap. There's different strains, so that any of these vaccines will help maybe with that specific strain. And so it's like it's just another thing. It's like you said earlier, the food pyramid, where it's ingrained into our heads that we have to do certain things. There are tried and true old school vaccines, a handful of them, like you said, maybe ones that we got as kids, that have been tested over decades and all this and that.
Right. Right.
But the healthiest thing a person can do is exercise, work out, and eat right. If you take all the junk food out and all these terrible chemicals we eat, you're not even going to need most of these dang vaccines. And that's the truth. I mean,
exactly.
People. Here's the problem too. The vaccines are used in just the same way as most doctors, not all, but your vast majority, as prescription drugs, where what they want to do. All right, here's the analogy I use. If you go out in your front yard and you see a weed in your rocks, what are you going to do? You can do two things. You can get some scissors and trim off the leaves, or you're going to grab it and pull it out where the roots are out. You're going to pull it out by the roots, right? Vaccines, for the most part, there might be a couple. There's an exception. Don't do that. They trim it. They trim the leaves off, and then it's still alive. It just grows back. Same with the diet stuff. If you aren't eating right and you get this said illness, and they just give you prescription drugs, you're never actually getting rid of it. You're just, as they say, sweeping it under the rug. You're just
Right.
covering it up, masking it for a little while. There are many cases where diabetes has been completely reversed because a person simply changed their diet.
Yeah.
There are cases where people, and actually my mom, or our mom, she'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was her chiropractor that knew someone that was diagnosed with cancer, and they took her off of, I think they changed her diet and took her off of all sugar. She lived like another 8 years without any cancer treatments.
Yeah. Yep.
And so it's like,
You don't really need chemo if you're willing to change what you're doing.
I would die before I took chemo.
I would too.
Because chemo,
Because chemo is just you're just giving yourself a death sentence.
you're killing all the good stuff to
Right.
help. So here's one of the main reasons that people kept getting COVID, and people keep getting the flu even nowadays, is because hand sanitizer. So what they're doing is they're using, you've seen people use that stuff like it's like going out of style 2-3 times a day. I never use it, because what hand sanitizer does is it kills the bad bacteria, sure, but we need and have a lot of good bacteria that we have to have. It kills all of the bacteria. That's what chemo does, not necessarily bacteria, but it kills the good cells that you need along with the bad cancer cells. So it's killing everything, just like the hand sanitizer does. So the people that I know or used to know that were sick all the time is because they're using hand sanitizer all the time.
Mhm.
And they're showering 2 times a day. It's like,
Yeah, you don't want to shower 2 times a day.
yeah, it's like you're locking yourself in your house. Like, no, you need to go outside, and you need
Right. You got to be.
expose
The worst
yourself
thing you
to
could have
things.
done, the worst thing you could do is be locked in your house wearing a freaking mask, or driving your Prius down the road wearing a mask when you're in the car by yourself.
Absolutely.
That's stupid.
Absolutely. And those masks are bad because you're coughing in them, you're breathing in them, then you're breathing the stuff that
Right.
your body's trying to project outward and get rid of. You're just taking it right back in, which is actually far more unhealthy than maybe getting sick, like with the flu or something. Like,
Yeah.
you're actually making it worse. And so, but anytime you go to the doctor, anytime I go at least, I bring up my diet. They never ask me. They never say, "Well, what are you eating? What's in your diet?" It's just, it's kind of like, and I'm not meaning to pick on people or be mean, but if people want to lose weight and they'll try to get a pill or something, it's like, well, no.
Yeah, you can.
If you look at the side effects of those pills, it's insane. But it's like, no, you like I said earlier, you have to change everything. You have to. That's why the New Year's resolutions fail a lot of the times, because people think they have to. It'll just be easy. No, you have to change all these things across the board. You're, like you said earlier, you're changing a habit. You're rewiring your brain, because oftentimes these things that people are trying to change, it is an addiction. I don't care what it is. I don't care
Oh
if
yeah.
it is chocolate.
People, they want to think
So
addiction is drugs or alcohol or cigarettes or whatever it might be. Food, it can be a
it's
huge food.
yes,
Um,
it's
Vaccines, prescription drugs,
mhm.
um, you know, anything can be an addiction. You know,
Yeah.
anything.
Well,
So
imagine if you're
it's like,
addicted to like 10 or 12 different food ingredients that are in every food that you eat every day. I mean, people are so wired and addicted to these things. Like, you go buy like Wonder Bread, a loaf of Wonder Bread, the texturizers they use, the corn syrup. I mean, there's probably 4 or 5 ingredients that are highly addictive just in bread. Like,
well, Mountain Dew has an ingredient in it. That's the same ingredient they use in lighter fluid.
yeah, good stuff. I think that has like a yellow 5 dye. Like, I think it's
Yeah,
yellow.
it's like one of the worst
If you
ones.
go to the store and just buy a thing of pickles, a jar of pickles, be careful which ones you buy. Some of them have the yellow dyes added.
Yeah, to make it
As an
look more
example.
appealing. That's like a vision thing. They want you to see, be like,
Yeah.
oh, those look good.
Well, it's funny
Uh,
because like cucumbers aren't yellow.
right.
Pickled
How the
cucumbers
hell did pickle get yellow?
aren't yellow. Like, why is it yellow? Like,
What's it yellow?
and you don't let, if you got kids, you don't let little Timmy do the shopping. Say, oh, I want it because it has colors. That's why I want. No,
Oh,
Timmy,
that's yeah.
I'm the adult. You're not eating garbage.
Right.
People
Well, you
gotta.
don't go. First of all, don't go down the cereal aisle. The cereal aisle is the worst aisle you can go down. Don't go down that aisle. Stay away from that aisle. My
Unless
daughter
you
was
get
doing that
7
earlier.
Sundays cereal or what is it called? Is it Lovebird cereal? Yeah,
Lovebird,
one of the
yeah,
other.
Lovebird's good too. Yeah,
Yeah.
but even yeah. So Kenny left a few comments. Moderation helps a lot too. That way, it's not cold turkey, but helps cut down the cost because you get the occasional treat, and after a while, you typically end up cutting it out because your body doesn't feel good, right? Yep. McDonald's is nuts. My 9-year-old's order is $10. You can't tell it. Well, that's the thing. They they knew they could do that. They knew that people would still pay it. Where do you think the 15? Okay, so y'all remember back in the day when everyone was bitching that they wanted $15 an hour to work at McDonald's. Newsflash: McDonald's is a job for like school kids. It's not a career. If you're trying to make a career out of working at McDonald's, you need to reconsider your whole life because that's not a career unless you're like upper management or something. But if you're
Right.
there being the burger flipper, that's like a kid's job. That's in high
Well,
school or
you
college.
should, yeah, you're supposed to have starter jobs, like you said, unless you're in
Right,
management there. But the idea is to work your way up in
right. Not sit at burger
progress with
flipper.
each job.
Right.
Right. Like anybody can do certain jobs, right? Not anybody can be management, but you have to work your way up, learn a skill or a trade or this or that. And you're not just, I'm here, so I deserve $25 an hour, which is what that guy that has 10 years of experience and a master's
Right.
degree has. That's not how it's
Well,
entitlement to it. And that's,
where? Why do you think things are so expensive? Why do you
well, they
think
have to make, they're
things
going to
went
make
up?
up the cost
How are
somehow.
you going to make good the money? Do you think the McDonald's and Bill Gates are going to sit there and just, hey, it's on us? You think that's going to
No,
happen? Do you think Bill Gates got $17 billion by saying, "Hey, it's on us"? I don't think so.
he got that by doing the
No.
opposite.
Like now they're crying they want 20. Well, when it's 20, your Big Macs can also be 20. So
Yeah, yeah.
wake up, people. I mean, shit.
Well,
Uh,
and McDonald's is an interesting one because, like, I'm sure you've seen the videos where the guys do these tests. They'll buy, say, like a Big Mac meal, and they're just leave it sitting for 6 months or a year, and it never molds. It's like,
my old chiropractor did that. He had a double cheeseburger in his office. It never did anything. The only thing that got a little moldy was the ketchup. That was it. The bun was fine. The beef was fine. Nothing. They also did another thing. No, Burger King. The only fast food burger between McDonald's and Burger King and a couple others that would actually get moldy was actually Burger King. Burger King actually did get moldy, and surprisingly enough, yeah. So
well, there you go.
that doesn't mean you should go eat Burger King, but I'm just saying.
no. Well, it's you mentioned RFK, and I think he said something to the effect of when his dad was like holding political office. The stat, I believe, with chronic disease within the United States, I think was 6%.
It was way low.
Now,
Way low. Now it's 60.
what'd you say?
60.
Yeah, now it's 60%. Well, you have to ask yourself, what changed? Two things changed: our diets and the vaccinations. Not all the vaccinations. There's a handful that I think are legit, but 90%, yeah. But and also just our culture has become so obsessed with convenience, and honestly, and myself included, just literally just laziness.
Yep.
And I think that's another reason why a lot of the New Year's resolutions don't work, because we just get lazy. Oh,
Well,
as soon as something's hard, I must just, woe is me. Oh, I can't do this. And it's like, I've done that too. I'm the king of that. So I'm mocking myself as well. But it's like, no. The best things in life are the hardest to do.
yeah.
Even God says it's not going to be easy. He says there's going to be trials and tribulations and suffering
Well,
and
God
tests
also
and all this.
says to,
So
use
if you,
self-control.
well,
God says
exactly. If you really want to accomplish something, you're going to say, I don't give a squat what it takes. And I'm going to learn an instrument or lose weight or whatever your resolution is. And you make the decision to do it,
Yeah. No, it's true. And it's not easy,
Well, no, but that's
I
why you're
haven't,
doing it. If it was
but that's
easy,
why you're doing it. That's why you want the
yeah,
new year, new me, right? But the
or
thing
prove
is,
it.
like we've said the whole time, you're not going to just flip on a switch and you're going to get it done. It's going to take a lot of work. And it's like, the whole reason I came up with this idea is I don't want people to be deceived that, because, your neighbor Tom down there is doing it. So, hey, I got to do it too. And it's going to be this cakewalk. Well, Tom walked around the block and now he's stuffing his face full of nachos and watching the Chiefs or something. So,
Yeah. Well,
it's like,
that's the thing is, like, if you're going to do something like a New Year's resolution, do it because you truly feel that you want to and need to, and your intent is right. The other thing is, a lot of people will do it, not all, of course, make that clear, but a lot of people do it just for that attention's sake,
Sure.
because
Sure.
oh well, look at Bob, he's doing this, and oh, good for him. And it's like that's a false motive. With all things in life like this, the motivation of the heart is key. You have to say, you have to be motivated, not just say I'm going to do this because other people might be your little cheerleaders,
Yeah.
and say, oh well, good for you. That's nice, but what are they going to say when you actually do it? If you're concerned with what they're saying, when you actually do it, they're going to be like, holy crap,
Yeah. It's true.
look at old Gil go, look at him, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, another thing I would say too. So YouTube is laced. I mean, completely laced with these stupid food reviewers, and that's a problem too. I think.
Well, they're all reviewing junk food, right? Like,
Yeah. Oh man, you remember the remember Review Bra, the little nerd that we watched all the time? Yeah, that guy. He's infamous. He's infamous. And it's like you've got these people, and it's not just guys. It's girls too. They're going to Crumble Cookies every freaking week, eating all these crumble. Do you know how many ingredients are in the crumble cookies, Dan?
there's probably like 30, if I had to guess.
50.
50, okay.
50.
Okay.
50. They're under the
But a cookie
gun
would be about
because,
4 or 5 ingredients.
right, right. They're under the gun because there's so many ingredients. Like a lot of people are canceling them because they're like, it's so bad. 100 and in one of their cookies, it's like 120 grams of sugar. 120 grams of sugar. I mean, holy crap. That's how much you should have like in a week.
Dude, I
Not
I
even
will
that.
not go over. I will try to not go over about 10 to 12 grams of natural sugar. So in a day, so that includes honey, coconut sugar, coconut milk, fruit, the whole enchilada.
Yeah.
That's just natural sugar in a day. I don't want to go over 10 or 12 grams or whatever.
So it's like
So
the
imagine, and
point.
that's all processed garbage sugar.
Well, yeah.
It has no value of any kind other than
No.
cancer or.
But the point is, don't watch that shit. Those people are just out for clicks, but they don't
Well,
realize what they're doing to themselves.
what it's glorifying everything, right?
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is like our society is, as opposed to pushing people in their goals and New Year's resolutions to do these things, our society is tiptoeing around that and making society and everything within it accommodate these people that aren't doing what they should do.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, no, it needs to be the other way. We need to follow through with what we said and not just have everyone cater to us
It's
with
like the
whatever.
guy, the guy that goes to the steakhouse and he eats like 120-ounce steak. Like what? We live in a
Well, that's another thing is there's glorification of just,
gluttony.
well, there's no other word. You just took the word out of my mouth. There's no gluttony. And
So now I'm gonna be in trouble with the food people too. All right,
well,
cool.
but oh well, because Funtime Pals, I think, said it in the comment prior, was moderation. So that's one thing that's never talked about with like our Americans, and I've done it too, which I don't really now, is just simply overeating or overindulging in all things. Drinking alcohol. Alcohol is one of the worst things you can put in your body.
Yeah.
It helps with Alzheimer's. It destroys your liver. It can cause inflammation. It also spikes your blood sugar. It does a million horrible things to your body. It hurts your testosterone if you're a man. All sorts of things. But look how alcohol is glorified in society. There are literally people, if they'll put something on Facebook at how much they drank, they are cheerleadered and built up as though they just got a college degree or got a new job or had a child or they are in a band and they released a record. Like it's act like some sort of accomplishment. It's like, this is insanity.
Yeah.
And it's like alcohol. How many people do you know that don't drink at all?
You.
Yeah, I'm the same. Well, mom doesn't.
Mom doesn't.
Ray doesn't.
I mean, I
I
hardly
know a
do.
couple.
I hardly do at all. Maybe like once a month.
And that's fine.
If that.
And that's
If
fine.
that. Yeah, very
And that's fine.
rare.
I'm talking about the people that like they glorify it, and it's like it's all the time, and it's like some sort of, it's something that is literally looked up at in our society. It's glorified, just like you said, the food reviewers, a lot of them, where it's just like,
Well, it's
oh,
the
I ate
fix.
3 Little Caesars
Well,
pizzas in one sitting. Well, it's like,
the worst thing of all is they
dang.
try to justify it. So the justification that they give, and if this works for them, that's fine. But it doesn't replace the fact that you just threw down 6 crumble cookies down your freaking throat, they try to justify it by saying, well, all the rest of the week I eat clean and blah, 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 blah. That doesn't matter.
That
What
kind of
matters is
nullifies it.
it nullifies it. You just ate 6 freaking crumble cookies, which means you ate like not 1,000 grams of sugar in one freaking day. So you can't sit there and
I
say,
mean,
yeah, I did this, but I still eat clean the rest of the week. And it's like, oh,
well, it's
what I
nullifying
would
because
do,
you're
what I would do. So if I was somebody, and I would be, if I'm willing to work out and I want to fix things, I would do what like professional athletes do. Turn off the freaking social media. Turn off
yeah,
YouTube. Turn off any distractions. They have a very strict code, especially for quarterbacks like Bo Nix. Bo Nix had a great year. You're not allowed to watch anything about you. You're not allowed to be on social media. You're not
good.
allowed to do this because all it's going to do is mess up your head. And it's going to cut your confidence because all people are going to say all these nasty, horrible things about you and steer you in the wrong direction. And with this, it'd be the same thing. If I was, getting really serious, you don't need to share every stupid ass thing you do on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is.
Just
It's like
just
Dan used to get so pissed off when everybody would take a picture of their dinner.
oh my god. Like that's something we need to apply. Did you cook it yourself? No, I don't
If you
cook.
want, if you want to post a picture, of something, post a picture of the changes that you've made or something like that. But don't like it. Just I don't know. It kind of drives me nuts when I see some of these videos, and I'm guilty of sin too. I watch these stupid things, and the whole time I'm disgusted. Like, oh my gosh, like you just ate that 6 crumble cookies. Oh my, it's just it makes me feel
Well,
nasty.
yeah,
Right, Shad,
that's
what's up, man? Alcohol is supposed to be a drug. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
100%. That's a good comment. That's so true. And it is a drug, absolutely. Um, what's interesting is like when people want to do New Year's resolutions, a lot of them want encouragement, sure. But a lot of people, it's like it can be like a saying almost. And what I mean by it is like, so when I started to really exercise and eat healthy food, it's like, man, I feel good. So it's like naturally, and I think we should, in a kind way, not a down your throat kind of way, but a kind gesture way, I start to share it with people.
Yeah.
I've never gotten more venom thrown back at me for sharing about good foods and bad foods than I have with anything else. So that I got so much pushback and I would say almost anger because I was telling people, hey, so if you start eating this, it reduces your inflammation. If your inflammation goes down, you start to feel better. This food can help with acid reflux, whatever it is. And man, people get legitimately angry. And I think that's where people fall short sometimes with the New Year's resolutions because this is the hard part that maybe they don't want to hear is like I think a lot of people are upset because they know you're trying to help or they know you're telling the truth, but they can't get
Yeah.
themselves over that line. And so
Well,
they don't like to hear that. But it's like, well, no, you should want to hear that because there's
yep.
someone here that has some knowledge that can help you, that can help you go in the right direction and encourage you.
Yeah.
But I was pretty shocked at that. I'm like,
Well, there's a
yeah,
lot of people that they don't like to. And the thing is, they take it so raw, and I think it's almost intentional. You're not telling them what to do. You're just
no,
sharing information, but they take it that way. They take it like you're not going to tell me what to do.
well, because
I'm,
they know,
they'd be like, my body, my choice. Yeah, it is your choice. Go for it. Knock yourself out. Go
yeah,
ahead and do it.
but
But
what
it's
is
like,
interesting is when people complain over the years over the same thing about not feeling well. It's like, here's your answer, and
here's an answer for you.
then they
Yeah.
get mad at you, but then 10 minutes later they're complaining about the same ailment again. It's like, well, I'm trying to help you with a resolution or something, but
Well, I mean, back when I was, you know, it took several people, but mostly my wife. She looked into a lot of this stuff, especially when we had kids and stuff, and she looked into like the food and stuff, and she told me, and I thought she was crazy at first. I was like, "What, really?" And man, I looked at like the non-GMO stuff, and you look at that, and you're looking at everything else. Now, I'm the one that goes to the store every single week based off of what she's taught me and stuff, and try to pick the best stuff. And it's like what Dan said before is right. I'm very much not in the aisles too much. It's mostly the perimeter of the store. But even there, you like look at the yogurt. We cut the kids off Noosa because Noosa's got a ton of sugar and stuff, and
Well,
it's
and
like
the non-fat or low-fat is the biggest scam in the world too. There's just
that's
a
crap.
filler in
That's
there.
crap. Yep, that's crap.
Yeah.
That's total crap. So but it's just one of those things. What's up, Steve? Good to see you, man. Hopefully you're doing good with seminary school. It looks like you're doing awesome, man. So good for
Wow,
you,
that's
buddy.
awesome.
Yeah,
Heck
he's killing it. I bet he's freezing in
yeah.
Florida. It's like 25, 30 degrees in Florida. They're not used to that at all.
Oh,
So
you get under 60 down there, and they're like,
right, right. Hopefully all those little lizards aren't freezing from the trees and falling like they did a couple years ago.
boy, that's not kidding.
So I hope you're
But
doing good,
that's
man.
the thing with the New Year's resolution, though, is like people don't understand. It's like with marriage, it's a commitment, and just because it gets tough doesn't mean you bail.
Right.
And I think that's the issue that you see with the New Year, New Me stuff, because it's fun to say it. People like the fact that you're saying it, but
you're throwing guilt at me. I can already see where this is going.
Where?
You're gonna throw this back in my face, aren't you?
Oh, well, I wasn't going to, but now you mentioned it, it's like maybe if you have a YouTube channel, then not give up because of a couple bad comments or not enough views, stuff like that. But but we've all done it. We've all failed miserably on a lot of things. But that's the thing. It's for most people, a New Year's resolution, New Year, New Me is just words, and that's just the truth. And I started changing my diet years ago, almost 2 years ago, and it's been a process. Don't get me wrong; it has not been easy. But I don't know when I started. It wasn't because it was New Year's. It was because it's like I'm just getting tired of feeling like garbage. I've always been a thin guy, but I'll tell you what, you can be thin and still extraordinarily unhealthy.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, if you're always tired, and that's the thing. If you're always tired, it's not because you need more sleep. Generally, if you're sleeping 8 hours a day, 6 to 8 hours, and you get up and you're always tired still, it's because you are malnourished in some capacity. And so if people don't want to be tired, eat right and exercise. And I'll say one other thing. In the wintertime, check with your doctor first, because I'm not a doctor, so I don't know anything, right? Take a vitamin D3 K2 supplement, because the number one nutrient that we lack as Americans is vitamin D3, and along with the K2. So what those nutrients will do, they're good for your bones and things like that, but they will actually pull calcium out of your arteries. This is one thing that causes clogged arteries, is calcium buildup on the inside of your arteries. That'll actually pull the calcium from there and redistribute it into things like your bones. And so don't be lacking in your vitamins and your nutrients.
And we've had family members who have had to have bypass surgery, and it's not pretty. Our grandfather, what did Grandpa have? Triple
I don't remember, but him and Grandpa Corny both had it, and
yeah. And our uncle, he had a stent put in. What was that?
Yeah.
So so, I mean, it's
the things that'll clog the arteries. It's not your red meat or
it's not your bacon. It's the crap.
No, it's there's a lot of inflammation, but then it's like those things that our body doesn't recognize, like seed oils and things like that. Because what happens too is when you're eating foods with ingredients that are essentially chemicals, say like we'll use canola oil or sunflower oil, the seed oils, or things like high fructose corn syrup. As an example, the body doesn't recognize those, and it doesn't recognize a lot of ingredients like the preservatives and all that. So what it will do is it'll just store those ingredients as fat. And so when people are like, well, I can't lose weight, that's generally, not always, that's generally why, is because if we keep eating those same things, it'll just keeps adding, your body just keeps storing those things. And so, that's why exercise is good. But if you keep eating those same foods, it might cause issue. It might be a little conflicting.
It's total overhaul. Well,
yeah.
And it's
I'm not a doctor.
Thank God.
I take pills.
Yeah, I don't go to the doctor unless like my arm's hanging
Get him
off.
a COVID shot and give him some pills. He'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll be fine. Yeah. Well, I also had a, I also got mad at somebody in the store. Well, you need some antidepressants, don't you?
You know what's interesting about antidepressants is I believe the stat now is there are more, and I'm not knocking, I'm not mocking or anything, but there are more people going to therapists now than
Mhm.
ever, and there are more people on whatever type because there's various types of antidepressants now more than ever. But we
Yep.
have more people that are depressed than
Yep.
ever because the therapist, I can see that if you need to talk to somebody, as long as they're not an enabler. But the antidepressants, in many cases, not all, they just shut that part of your brain off where it's like, oh, I'm not sad. It's just you're just it kind of zombifies you in certain ways. And again, that's the classic weed thing where you're cutting the leaves of the weed off as opposed to pulling out the roots, as opposed to dealing with
Right.
the true cause of the depression. And a lot of bad fruits can help in your depression,
They're either
along with
taking
just
the yeah, they're either taking the antidepressants or weed.
well, the weed does the same thing. It just shuts certain
Shuts
things
down.
off. It's just masking things, and so that's why those things aren't always. Now, antidepressants can be good on a short term. Someone's suicidal, and it's like, hey, maybe he should take those for a few weeks, get help, whatever. Okay, but people become addicted to them, and then eventually the antidepressants no longer work. So then they take a stronger one, or they up the dosage,
Yep.
and then
Yep.
they're a slave to it. Like when the Bible
It's
talks about bondage and being a slave to these things, you're in many cases that food is your comfort or your help or your
yeah.
antidepressants or this or that. And
Right.
um, no, those aren't good things. So
So like this falls into the, when I made that controversial is toy collecting a sin video.
that
This was the point where anything can fall into this to where it becomes like master your domain and it overtakes you and stuff like that. It could be
right.
food, it could be toys, it could be all kinds of things. And it's like you
You
just
name
got
it.
to watch that. So, just because it's new year doesn't mean you're going to shut it off and you're going to have a new me. Just know that there's a road
Well,
ahead. Now, anybody who's willing to
yeah,
do that, obviously, more power to you,
yeah. Well,
but
the new me starts in the heart because
right,
a lot of things
right.
that people don't like about themselves or they want to accomplish is because they're upset about it or they don't like it. They don't like that about themselves, so they're trying to fix it. Well, the root of the issue is the heart issue. It's not people say, well, it's a bad mentality. That yeah, but that's kind of the middle ground. You got to go to the root, which is the heart, and
Yep,
um,
yep.
and because that's where habits are too. It's the brain, yes, but the heart too. And so you gotta not just do the slogan "New
Yep.
Year, New Me." It's like you
It's
don't just
not
a
that
lot of things
easy.
just change because it went to 2025.
It's exactly right. So
So,
so in closing, we hate that saying. Doesn't
well, it
mean that
doesn't
we
mean
hate
anything.
what doesn't mean that we hate that what people are trying to do with it. I think, if you have a resolution, that's great. Just know that there's going to be, it's not just like that. It's going to be
No,
work, just
it's
like anything
commitment.
else. It's
Yep.
commitment, exactly, commitment. So,
There's been, and I've gotten much better recently where there's been many times where it's like I want to watch wrestling and order a pizza, so I do it, and it's like, but after I eat the pizza, I feel my heart rate's up and I feel like garbage every time.
yeah,
So it's like even once in a while, it's like I don't want to feel like crap even once in a while.
yeah,
So
yeah.
eventually you gotta wean yourself off, and
Nope.
the thing is too with food, especially people say, "Oh, I can't drink coconut milk, gross." Like that's actually tastes better than say the healthy 1 or 2% milk. Whole milk's actually better for you. But you adjust. Your body can adjust to anything, including bad things.
Yeah. Our father had to throw this in, didn't he?
No, wrong.
Hey, you know what? For the first time in 9 years, they're in the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win, but you never know.
Yeah, but it's how they got in.
Yeah.
All the pundits and the Chiefs fans can make all the excuses. Well, they played their second stringers. I don't give a crap. You got beat
And
38
they
to
whip their
nothing.
asses.
That's embarrassing. And it's also embarrassing that the Chiefs just didn't care. That's ego, is
Oh, it
what that
shows
is.
you how they are. Oh boy,
Yeah.
now we're getting canceled for sure. Now we're going to trash the Chiefs.
Oh, I don't think anyone's going to be opposed to that.
Oh no, that's America's team.
It's not. It's the NFL's team because they want them to be. Because Taylor Swift means ratings. Whatever. More
Uh,
money. More money.
I'm pulling for the Broncos too. We'll see what happens.
And if they lose to Buffalo, that's not too bad.
Hey, they
I
weren't even
expect it.
supposed to be here. They were only supposed to win like 5 games. They won
But all
double
the
that.
internet experts said no.
Yeah, the experts. Yeah, the experts said, you know, drafted Bo Nix was a huge mistake. He's like the best quarterback in the whole class.
Yeah, threw for almost 4,000 yards. Had a what was his QB rating? It was like a 90 something. I think it's
Well,
insane.
he threw for the second most touchdowns of any rookie in history.
Well, there you go.
29. Justin Herbert threw 31 when he was a rookie. That's the top. So he had second most touchdown passes. And the thing is, if you remember, he didn't even throw a touchdown pass the first 3 games.
Right. Oh, man.
So imagine if he just threw a couple there, you'd have the most,
We also
So
didn't play the fourth quarter on Sunday.
there you go.
I
Could have had a
mean,
couple. I mean, the way they were going, he could have had a couple more.
yeah, they should have just. Well, you
They
could
should have
tell like
just.
Sean
I
Payton
would
was
have.
just like he was
I'd
just
have
like
pulled
we're
a
going to keep
Belichick and
scoring.
ran the damn score up as high as I possibly could.
Yeah. Well, when the other team's going to be that egotistical and arrogant, I score 60 points on them. Who cares?
Yeah, yeah.
You act like
I really hope they
that.
win. I really hope they win and they get to play Chiefs again and beat the Chiefs. That'd be hilarious.
They almost beat them the first time.
They should have beat them the first time.
Yeah. So,
One guy fell down,
yeah.
blocked the kick. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, we'll have to figure out what we're gonna do next week. That's kind of a weekly thing.
Well, I doubt can possibly be more offensive than this one. This one may have been our most offensive one yet.
Yes. Good job.
The truth is offensive to those who hate the truth.
Well, that's it. I mean, here, I'll play it again. Now, watch this. You see what the tagline says. Watch. I'll play it again. I mean, it was covered by Dad's comment, but it clearly said if you're offended, it's your fault. So we can't be held responsible if you get offended for a little stupid thing we say. Like we really like what we say matters so much. I mean, some people think so, but
Yeah.
Hey, I agree with you, dude. Your Bucks looked really good. Good, good for Baker Mayfield, man. Good for him, because man, they threw him out like he was nothing, and that guy he played great. Baker Mayfield had a great year. You can do habits are the keys to change forever. We can do something else for 21 days or up become your new habit. Man, he's
Yeah.
absolutely right. Yep.
And then
Yeah.
that's the thing, like if you decide like you're gonna go to the gym's your resolution, like you get over that 21-day hump. I mean, yeah, you're gonna be in some pain, but
yeah,
you gotta get do that burn.
Burn. Well, that's the hard part, So.
And it's like with changing your diet, your taster adjusts, man.
Yep. Yep.
Whatever it may be.
It's true. All right. Well, there you go, guys. There's the show. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. We'll be back next week with an all new topic for Dan and I to offend you with. We're looking forward to it.
I love that we assume that we are offending somebody.
Well, I mean, I'm just going off a hearsay. So that's what I heard.
Yeah, it's a pretty safe bet. Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. You guys have a good one.